Smile, be, chat, join for networking.
My name is Adam Redshaw, and at the start of this year, through the contacts, the skills that I've made through networking, I went into work, and before I even said Happy New Year to my boss, I quit. There might have been a few hours in there, but pretty much the first day back, I quit. I went self-employed. Now, a lot of people tell you their journey, how from childhood they're going through this, and the other, as to how they've got where they are now. I'm going to do it the other way round. I'm going to go through some regression therapy and go back to where it all started. It might have all gone wrong from where it started, but it's a journey I'm going to take you on in a few moments. So, now I run a magazine all about a niche activity. It's a GPS treasure hunting activity. Brilliant way to get out and about with friends and family and explore the country. I do talking to schools, colleges, youth groups, scouts about that. Before that, I was purchasing for a company that supplied to the Ministry of Defence. Before that, I was involved in probate. Before that, nationwide credit card services retention. Before that, Kahoot banking. Before that, complaints at Caligas. Before that, Sony selling TVs for a TV franchise. Before that, Comet. Before that, I was at school. Before that, I was reading books, Enid Blyton books, the famous 5, the secret 7. And I really got a passion for adventure. Really got a passion for adventure. And it's a passion that I still have today, which is part of why I do what I do. But back in the 80s, we didn't particularly read that many books. We started to watch some films, and you might get out to go to the cinema with a family. And one of the films that I really enjoyed was Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. You might see a theme occurring here, but the question for you all, how many D's are there in Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark? The answer is 612. Why 612? There you go. Right. So the bag is my notes. The bag is my script. The bag is a cheesy gimmick, and I hope it works. So in the bag, it all started with an Enid Blyton book, The Treasure Hunters. Now, there's loads of good books, and you might have heard of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, or maybe loads more really good books that can help you on your way, your adventure, your journey in business. They might give you the inspiration to start you off on your own adventure, your own journey. You never know where it's going to go. Maybe for your adventure, you need to do some planning. So you go and speak to some experts. You speak to the local village people. You speak to the other business owners at networking events up and down the country, locally, regionally, nationally. The same as when you go treasure hunting. You never know where you're going to go. Then you need a map for your adventure. First of all, the biggest problem, how do you unfold the map? Because they're always a sod to unfold. But when you've unfolded the map, do you really understand the map? Do you know your destination from A to B? What's in the way? Do you know the legend? Do you know the key of the map? Can you understand it? Have you got a map for your own business, your own journey? Do you have a really good business plan which shows you the mountains you have to climb, the pitfalls you're going to go down, the rivers you've got to swim through to get to your destination? One of the things you might need in your business is a pen. But you might also need some tools. So Indiana Jones had his whip. What are the tools that you've got to help you in your journey, your adventure, your business? Social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, all kinds of digital marketing. Networking, which I mentioned earlier on. There are a whole host of fears and tools you can use. Talking of fears, Indiana Jones had a fear. Snakes! What are your fears in business? Do you like that, Brad? What are your fears in business? And do you have what it takes to face them? This is your comfort zone. Will you step out of your comfort zone into the learning zone? Or will you go that step further into the fear zone? Indiana Jones, the second film, The Last Crusade, there was that great big glass walkway that he had to come to. He looked at it, he knew he had to cross to get to the other side, but he couldn't see the pathway. Luckily, he had some sand, a tool, and he threw it out and he could say, "Oh, there's a glass walkway. Yay, I've got to the other side." So it's really, really good. So what else do you need? Brad's talked on earlier on about some of the things that actually, what are you willing to sacrifice for the treasure that you're seeking? Opening sequence, pretty much, about 3 minutes in, Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's a statue, there's a little gold fertility symbol on the top. Indiana Jones is like, "I'm going to take this." But before he does, he stops. He weighs up his option. He reaches into his bag, and he's got this little bag of sand. He's like, "What is the worth of this? What's the weight?" He balances it out, swaps the gold idol with this bag of sand, and then legs it with this great bull that comes after him. So when you do start that journey and you've set your goals, what are you prepared to sacrifice to get those? As you go through your business, maybe the treasure that you're looking for, and I was inspired by a certain Brad Burton with this one, is a shiny squirrel. It's actually a nutcracker. But you go through your life, and that's why it rattles. But is what you're seeking a false idol? Is it actually a shiny squirrel? A noisy shiny squirrel. So I shall put him down. Is that distracting you from the real goals? We heard earlier on, you were saying, sometimes you just got to keep punching through. You've got to keep going and don't chase your shiny squirrel. You have to evaluate what is right, what's important, and think to yourself for a moment, what are the important things to you right now? What are the things that you face in your business that you have to face as fears? What books could you read? What advice could you get? Now, more importantly, where will your next adventure be? What will that next opportunity be? How will you get there? Adventure and business, they go together hand in hand. Sometimes one is more than the other. Weigh it up, make the decisions, decide what you're going to sacrifice, decide what tools, resources, and gimmicks you may need. Be yourself. Do you need a hat? Do you need a bag? Whatever you need. Could I get it branded? I've got branded t-shirts, which I chose not to wear today because this is about the message, not the person. So, life, treasure hunting, business, they go together hand in hand. Business is an absolute roller coaster journey adventure. What will you do to live your adventure? So what I did is I thought, what are my passions? What do I enjoy? What makes me, me? And it is the fact that I like to go outside, get some fresh air, go for a walk. Maybe not as often as I could or should. But that's why I've given up the job. So now I can go out and I can do more, I can explore more, I can have more adventures. You never know where you're going to go, what you're going to find along your way. So I became a full-time geocacher. Geocaching, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, if you think I'm talking a foreign language, I'm talking about a GPS treasure hunt. It is claimed to be the fastest growing outdoor pursuit worldwide. You travel up and down the country, locally, nationally, regionally, even internationally, looking for all kinds of hidden containers. What's inside the containers? Nothing of any particular value at all. Little trinkets, things you might find in Poundland or Christmas crackers. It's not important what you find inside the container. The importance is that you find the actual container, and it might take you to an underground military bunker. You might be walking through a waterfall into a cave. You might be going, for argument's sake, underneath the city centre of Bristol, where you crawl through a little hatch like that, a little hole, and you go through a network of underground tunnels. You might have to climb up the top of Skiddaw Mountain up in the Lake District, where you'll stay in a youth hostel. Other hostels are available. But you might stay in this hostel 2.5 miles away from the nearest road. But when you're there, no internet, no Wi-Fi, no hot water. Certainly not as we're used to. No electricity, they have solar panels. They have cesspits because it's away from everything, really out of your comfort zone. It really is an adventure. But when you're there, you get to see the Milky Way, and it's all ahead of you. So yes, geocaching might take you to go and find these little boxes of trinkets which are worth nothing, but it's the memories of the locations that you go to, and you get to share that with your family. And I went into WH Smith's to buy a magazine about geocaching, and there wasn't one. So I thought, what the hell? I've taught myself some graphic design, some publishing, and now I'm hoping on a phone call any day now that that magazine will be available in a certain news agent up and down the country with W and H in the initials. Now, from that, I wanted to share my passion with geocaching with everybody else. So I've invested in myself. I've gone on courses to learn how to be a better speaker. I've attended courses about networking. And now I travel up and down the country working with people like the National Trust, the Gadget Show. I got invited over to Portugal to advise the Portuguese Tourist Board how they could use geocaching to promote tourism across Portugal. Ladies and gentlemen, business and treasure hunting go together, and I've made sure that they do. If you want to know any more, look on the internet, you'll find me. Start your own treasure hunt.
Smile, be chat, join for networking.